In today's video, we're going to talk about how you can deal with gaslighting in your love life. Now, gaslighting is one of the biggest signs of a toxic or abusive relationship. So it's important to know what you can do if you recognize it with someone that you love. Now, this can keep you safe and make sure that you're in a loving and respectful relationship. Before we get into this really serious topic, I just want to let you know about some of the important new content we've got coming up. Now, no matter what your relationship issue, I'm going to have some advice to help you out. I want to give you all the tools that you need to build a really healthy and happy relationship where you feel loved, respected, and supported. So please do make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That way you're never going to miss one of my videos. Back to today's topic, how to deal with gaslighting in your relationship. Let's start by defining what gaslighting is and giving some examples, because it can be hard to be sure what's going on. So gaslighting is when someone lies or distorts the truth to undermine your faith in yourself and leave you questioning your sanity. They will tell you things that you know are untrue, and by the end of it, you're left confused about whether you can trust your own beliefs and your own memories. For example, if you arrange to meet up with your partner at 9:30, he might later tell you that you'd actually agreed to meet at 7. Now, you can remember the conversation about meeting up at 9:30 really clearly, but he is so completely adamant that you'd said 7 that you start to doubt your own recollection. And this can happen over and over and over. He might say that you hadn't told him that you were going out with a friend, even though you had. He might say he'd given you a gift when he hadn't. He might even move things in your house to make you worried that you're losing your mind. So another thing that guys will do is they use each previous piece of gaslighting as evidence that you can't trust your own mind. So he'll tell you that you always forget things or you misremember things. He'll say that his memory has to be the correct one because yours is unreliable, even though it isn't. So how can you deal with gaslighting in your relationship? Now, I'm going to be honest and say that this is really difficult to answer. When I write these videos, I start by asking myself what I would tell a close friend if they came to me with this problem. And when we're talking about gaslighting, that's actually really, really simple. If a friend comes to me and says, I need some advice about how to deal with my partner gaslighting me, my answer is straightforward. I would tell them to end the relationship. It is such a big red flag that I would be so worried about them. And I would suspect that their relationship was abusive in other ways as well. Gaslighting in a relationship, it's a little bit like roaches. Yeah. If you see some, there's probably a lot more hidden away that you just haven't seen or noticed. So it's important that you don't ignore or overlook it. And that's what I'd say to a friend when I'm there. But unfortunately, telling someone who's in an abusive relationship to just walk away, it's not as helpful as we'd like. With a friend, I can offer long-term support to help them leave someone who's gaslighting them and help them understand the ways that gaslighting has undermined their sense of self in one-on-one conversations. In this video, where anyone in an abusive relationship will hopefully watch this, I have to be a lot more careful because I don't want you to feel judged or as if I think that there's an easy answer to this problem. Recognizing gaslighting is incredibly difficult, especially while you're still in the relationship. Understanding that your relationship actually is abusive is even more difficult. And leaving, especially when you still love your partner, that's even worse. When you see gaslighting in your relationship, you're at the start of an incredibly difficult journey, and my heart goes out to you. I will never judge you for staying. If you're in an abusive relationship, you have no good options. And you are doing the very best you can, and that's okay. So I'm not going to give you any tips to try to fix a relationship with someone who's gaslighting you. Not only would those tips be almost guaranteed to fail, but it's also unethical. Instead, I'm going to give you the tools to look after yourself as much as you can with a partner who gaslights you. So here are some of the things that you can do for yourself to deal with being gaslit. And number one is to have a good support network. As I've said, when you're being gaslit, you don't trust your own memory and you don't trust your own interpretation of events. You're constantly being told that you're wrong or mistaken. Having a support network who can give you a sanity check and give you some reassurance that you can trust yourself, that can be an essential lifeline. Remember that abusers will often try to separate you from your support network because they don't want you to have that external validation and that support. So even if they've managed to cause a rift between you and your friends and family, and they may well have done, there are still lots of places you can turn for support. People you've lost touch with can be much more supportive than you expect. You can also turn to domestic violence support groups, helplines, and even your medical practitioners. Most people in the caring professions, such as doctors or nurses, will recognize gaslighting and understand the effect it can have on you. The second thing you can do is to write in a journal. So you've probably heard of journaling. This is where you write down your thoughts and your feelings about the day. It can be really helpful for self-reflection because it gives you a chance to put your thoughts in order, understand what's been going on for you, help you see patterns in the way you think, and help you to process your emotions. Now, if your partner's gaslighting you, it becomes even more helpful because it gives you a record of conversations you've had, things you've agreed, and how you felt about particular situations. Now, having a journal isn't a silver bullet. It doesn't mean you're not going to doubt your own recollection. It's not going to save you, but it can help to mitigate some of the effects of gaslighting. And importantly, it can also help you to recover when you have left your abusive partner. Now, the third tip is to try to focus on what you know to be true. Again, this sounds like it should be easy, but it's surprisingly difficult to focus on what you know to be true in the face of your partner's absolute certainty. Again, this does not make you stupid or weak. It can happen to anyone, no matter how clever or strong-willed or anything else. The early stages of abuse work to break you down and make it harder and harder for you to withstand the abuse that comes later. Finding something that you know to be true and can cling to is a way of holding on to a part of yourself. Now, in the early stages, this might mean just refusing to accept your partner's version of events. If you can manage that, honestly, really well done. That is hugely impressive. I know just how much pressure abusers will put you under to just give in and say you agree with their version of events. Withstanding that is incredibly difficult, and very few people can manage it. So it's okay if you can't as well. Abusers will often do anything they can to maintain their control, and their abuse can escalate if they think that they're losing control of you. If this is the case for you, it's okay to pretend to agree with them, but to try to keep a little corner of your mind clear. The fourth piece of advice is to have a safety plan. Domestic violence charities understand that it's really important for people in an abusive relationship to have a plan to keep them safe when they leave. Women in an abusive relationship are at the most risk at the point at which they try to end the relationship. Having a plan of where to go, who will support you, how are you going to find the money that you need, and any other steps that you can take to keep yourself safe is essential. If you're considering leaving a partner who gaslights you, it can be really helpful to make a safety plan with a friend or a professional that you trust. Now, speaking of professionals, the final tip for dealing with gaslighting in your relationship is to work with a qualified therapist. Dealing with gaslighting isn't ever simple. It's hard to identify and even harder to find your way to a healthier relationship. A trained therapist or counselor can help you to understand what's going on in your relationship, how to protect yourself, and they can even work with you to rebuild your self-esteem once you've left. That's our video on how to deal with gaslighting in your relationship. I wish I could have given you suggestions for how to transform this into something that's healthy and respectful, but I can't. Gaslighting can sometimes seem innocuous, but it never is. If you have something you'd like to share about gaslighting in your relationship, please do let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions on this or any of my other videos. I want to make sure that I'm giving you the kind of advice that you're looking for and that you need. So it's always good to know what you're thinking. As always, please do like and subscribe. I'm going to be talking a lot more about abusive relationships, and I don't want you to miss any of it at all. All right, that's all for today. I'll see you soon.